Buddy Mark Saiger, Saiger Steam Clean of Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Today I am going to be working on changing out my Cat water pump oils and also on my Butlers my blower oils as well too. And I've got two different types of blower pumps here. They're both Tuthills, but one's the old style with the grease fittings in the front, one's with style with both drains in the front. So I'm just showing you some of the things you're going to need. Now you're going to need Cat pump oil. Crankcase oil, it's ISO 68. Now, I got low on my supply here that I had, and I discovered about a year ago that Home Depot also does stock that product here in our area locally. Also, for one of the blowers, it's been using the non-detergent SAE 40 weight non-detergent Amali oil, which has been used in it. And on my other one, a newer one, they started with the Phenolube synthetic oil for Tuthill. And so anyway, we'll be sticking with that in that blower at this time. I'm going to run down that Amali, and then I'm probably going to switch out to the other. And anyway, I'm going to show you some things. This Butler is our 2011, and it has 1968, almost 1969 hours on it. So anyway, I'm going to be talking about a few things. So those are the two oil products you're going to be needing to do this. And also for containers, this here I just took a container like our 1 gallon type container that you would use for any of your products here, and your normal 1 gallon container, and I just cut it off at about that point. And on one of the other ones, for on the front of our Cat drain pump, comes out of here is where you drain the Cat oil on our particular Butlers. And to make this fit, I took another one and I notched it out so that it would fit underneath in there a little bit better when I'll get all these hoses and stuff out of the way. But for right now, I'm just going to keep doing this and showing you the procedure for changing out these oils, as I've had a lot of requests. Now, this whole entire lid, you're going to want to pull all of that off of here. Move your seats forward, all the way forward to make it easier. Take all of your items out of here, your wands and stuff. And on the sides of this, there's actually 4 knob type screws that you take out. Now I got the hood off on my other one, and this is all they are. So for me, so I don't lose these here on my reel line, there's a like tray there. I take and I put all 4 of them in there so I don't have to go searching. That's just my process. So now I'm going to take you out to the other. You want to have the motor of the engine of the van warmed up. So I've had this running and warmed up, and on this one there's actually a different blower, as I described, that has the grease Zerk fittings in the front, and there's also a puddle of grease on the top here. That puddle is kind of a protective situation too, and it also lets you know when the crankcase is full. So you do want these things to have been warmed up. Now the van motor's been warming up and running. So this one here, 3340 hours on it, almost 3341. So you just want to warm everything up. High speed for a little bit. Cat water pump. Now anyway, I just wanted to tell you that in short, I've already done this and warmed this thing up a little bit. So for me, what I know, you usually recommend 500 hours and then change out the fluids in the Cat water pump and the blower, what Butler's using. I change them early. Like on this one here, to keep it underneath the lid, just step outside here. I've got underneath the lid where it says what size belts we use. AX42s on the blowers, AX41s on the Cat pump, and the very front A65s. Well, over here I have that I changed the oils in here on 10/18 of 2014 at 3,078 hours. I'm due for a change at 3,578. So I have a lot of hours remaining on this oil, you know, be within spec, but I don't do that. We change oils often. Our vans, we change the oils every 1,000 to 1,500 miles. Not even necessarily what's on the hour meter. We do keep track of that too, but we change it early intentionally. So our vans go thousands and thousands of miles, and our Butlers get thousands and thousands of hours. So this thing is a baby here. So I'm going to shut this off for right now, or just to do a stall or a pause in between things. But this here's the basics on it, and I'll be right with you. Okay, I'm back here just to tell you that each one of your Butlers should come with an owner's manual, and I know some of you purchase them used, and that's why you're even watching this video. But even in here, it says in the grease fittings on this pump, you want to take and leave a 1/2-inch ball of grease on top for kind of protective and also seeing, but also you want to grease this blower monthly. So what I'm going to do right now is this extra amount of grease here that's on top on the other side in front of the belts, and notice the gloves I've warmed up. I'm just going to remove this at this time. So there you can see on top of here there is this little pin mechanism. When you take and fill up this over here, sorry, trying to get that, your Zerk fittings, that will pump up until that expands, and then that ball of grease will come to the top. Best to do that when this is warmed up. So I'm going to finish cleaning up, and we'll show you that another process when we get to the grease time. Okay, we're back again, and want to show you for greasing the fitting. It's down here. There's 2 grease zerks. This one here is going to go to one of these units up front here, and this is just a standard grease gun with the fitting. Sorry about some of the bobbling here, trying to do this one-handed and alone. Now this one here is linked up to this back one back here. So we're going to just keep pumping, and they recommend you do this once a month. Just keep pumping that grease until all of a sudden it expands. And I've also, just keep in mind, I've warmed up the blower. Makes this grease flow a little bit easier in there. And yes, it's taken a few pumps to get there. So that will, you know, keep pumping grease and start burning things out over time. Just starting to lift a little bit. Now, you see it expanding on top, and you want to leave about a 1/2-inch ball of grease. There we go, covering that spacer. So that's what you would do then, of course, to the other side as well too, so that you would get the idea on that. And I don't think you need to watch this demo, so I'll put it on pause and do the same until I get to that point. All right, and you can see now we have the second one also filled up and pushed out from the grease zerk, and so we've got about a 1/2-inch ball of grease covering each one of those. And I've done a little wiping off on the front and checking underneath. You just want to check things while you're here, make sure no leaks, nothing going on strange with your belts and stuff, because we do carry a full set of belts for our butlers all the time for every one of these units, for the Cat water pump belts, the blower belts, and even a set of belts for the very front on the drive shaft. So I'll be back with you in a little bit. We'll show you the next step shortly. Okay, back with you, and I've moved from my other van that had the blower that you lube on the front to the newer style Tuthill for the Butler, which has a drain port down here and a drain port in the front. You can just see that purple right there, that tube there too, that's in the front. So it's a lubricated bearing from oil versus grease on the newer style. So now what we're going to do is, for the Cat, I'm going to drain the Cat pump oil first, is what I'm going to do. So again, this is that cut bottom there. There's most of the time a plastic cap on the front here. My fingers are a little greasy there yet. So I just take that off. There's the purple cap. Now remember what I said for what I'm going to do. I put it over in there so I don't have to look for it later. Now I'm going to get that so it scoots underneath the front there, just how that went in there. And here, there's a little lift handle, little handle spigot on all of these drains that you'll actually lift up and pull forward. And you see that oil starting to go? Now, to me, that's a really nice sign. That oil is green in nature yet, almost like new. And that means that I'm getting to it early to change out early. You're going to still see some little bit of darkness and stuff that'll come in the bottom as it floats in the bottom. So things are changing up. There's a little debris and soils that kind of accumulate in there. So that's going to drain for 10-15 minutes. Now what we're going to do while that's happening, I'm going to change the blower oils too at the same time. So I'm going to pull this cap that's just on that tube, little protective cap for the tube. It's nice to have, and I've zip tied mine on there. That's going to be the back one first. I'm also going to take off the top here, and there's one over on that side too. These are your fill plugs, but also by pulling those out, you will take and be able to get air movement and drain there. I'm going to probably have to get a pliers to help encourage that one to be. All right, back with you here. I've got this top cap just on the back one loosened up where I can undo it. And this is just a cap again underneath here. And again, I go and I set it in my typical spot. Now, on the back side, there's a little lift up mechanism. See that little purple thing there? And before I do it, see the oil level? There is an oil level sight and a line indicator. And you'll see in there where there's a little bit of air above and then there's oil below. Well, what we're gonna do, that's where you'll end up filling to that line, and there's a certain amount. But I'm gonna grab that there, back there, lift it up, get it so it starts draining again into that container I've got there. So you can start seeing that drain out too. Now this is warmed up room temperature, a little more than room temperature, so it pushes through. So that's going to drain out, and again about 10-15 minutes worth of that, it's going to go down. And then you could also, if you can get another one of those jugs set up, you can start draining the front, which I'm going to go make and set one of those up right now. Be back in a little bit. All right, I just made another holding container out of a gallon jug. I've got up on top there, that one loosened up, and I'm gonna get that one ready down there to pull out the oil. So just to continue with here briefly, quickly so I can vent, set that over there, go down here again to that pitcock there. Yeah, sorry, it's hard to see there, but you'll see a little lever. You just lift up and move and push over to the side, and voila. Your oils are going to start draining. So there they are draining. You want to make sure they are hitting your pan or whatever you got going there so you're not getting all over your nice van. But that's going to drain for a while. You see over here we have it. Not too bad. You want to see if there's anything milky in them at times. They're going to have a little bit of foaming at this moment just because we warmed it up a little bit is all. But you know, you'll see the oil is actually pretty clear. There's no liquids or fluids or waters or any other debris coming in them. You also will want to be checking the fronts of your blowers, and I'm going to wipe that down too, just to make sure that the bearings and seals are doing okay. So I'll do a wipe down and check that out while these are draining. It's part of the service we'll do. Okay, I've got oils draining here, but something I want to point out too is this on the top of the Cat water pump. Butler puts a plastic cover on it. I'm going to kind of re-glue that down, but it's a vented cover. But so you still do want to kind of just loosen it. I don't like it sitting exposed while I'm working on it. Get that purple cover out of the way for now. So, you know, you just unscrew it counterclockwise. There it is. There's the opening. But it's a vented cap, but I don't like it just sitting there exposed and possibility of getting junk into it. So I'll cover it up again, keep it covered while I'm waiting for these to drain. So these are just draining down a little bit. I've already been wiping things up, checking things out, stuff like that. We'll be back with you in a bit. All right, my Cat water pump has gotten itself to a point where it's pretty full and it's going to start leaking out. So all I do is I take and I transfer this into an old container, and you can see how that green changed. It's got a little debris in it, but put that into a used container that I can take back down to recycle. And then I also just continue with it, filling up the rest of that into that container there. So I'll be back again in a bit. All right, I'm back with you, and I'm back at the older blower model. This is again a Tuthill, and I've already drained that into our drain container for recycle a little bit, and that's some remaining. One thing I like to do is I like to take and add a little bit of oil into here, and I use a little yellow funnel, and I'm adding some oil, and then I like to just see it come on out. And so I can get a little bit, if there's any more junk or garbage in the bottom, they're starting to flow out. I'm draining that out with me. So again, I just waste a little bit of oil, you could say here, and try to push that through, and any extra debris that will come out. Now I do the same on the Cat water pump. So get that uncapped there. Should have had that prepped. And this here is that cap on top. It's either going to be red, or at Butler it's going to be purple. Unscrew that. Now I've been draining the oil in the front here. I've already drained that pan again too. It's still draining, so I'll be back with you in a minute. But I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add a more clear, clean oil in there too to drain that through, so you see the same concept. But that one's not quite done draining, I guess. All right, I'm back to a point where that is pretty much done draining. So I'm going to take this Cat pump cover off, take some of my Cat pump oil. What I'm going to do is just pour a little bit in there. What I'm doing is trying to get any other garbage junk that might be in the bottom out the bottom of that Cat pump oil, or Cat pump itself. So now it's going to drain some more out of the front. So what I'm doing is I'm just sacrificing some of this cat pump oil to do that. Now, if you're going to do this, you're going to need 2 of these containers to do that, because this, when you go to fill it up, it's going to take 20 ounces for the Butler Cat pump. This is a 21 ounce unit, so you know you're going to use basically all of that container to fill it back up. But I'm going to just let that drain out the little bit that's remaining, and I'm going to start filling this up for my blower, Tuthill Blower, until it reaches the center line there too, which is going to be about 7 ounces. So you want to make sure that's shut off now that it's done draining and you've drained good oil through it, and we'll get those filled up here shortly. I want to just also tell you with these blowers, it says right here in the instructions too, where with the if it's the older units, the Roots models in previous years, it would take 16 fluid ounces to fill that. This is only going to take 7 fluid ounces in your typical Tuthill blowers in the newer Butlers. So 7 fluid ounces, 16 fluid ounces in the older Roots designed. Okay, I'm back to my newer Butler here, and I've got the 2 fill spouts on this front and back, and the oil's looking pretty good. I knocked off some belt dust into that one down there, so there's more debris from that. But I'm going to take and use the proper oil for this, which is going to be the Numalube, and I'm going to take and do the same thing. I'm going to flush out a little bit of the debris on front and back just to get out any other junk that could be there. Here we're just doing a little bit of the flush out to get the extra debris out of the bottom there. And again, this is the product we're using in this blower, so we'll allow that to drain out. Then I'll do that to the same to the front. Again, I'm back. I'm just going to do this to the front one so you can kind of see again, sacrifice a little bit of that oil just to get it to go through and make it. All right, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm actually going to deal with the cat pump oil, since it's in the front here and the shutoffs and stuff. So now that it's done, I think it's thoroughly drained to a point of doing just fine. I've lifted that from the front here to go back that sideways to shut it off so there's no more oil coming out. There might be a little dripping coming out of that tube yet there. In the front of the panel, there's an oil indicator light. I don't know if you're going to be able to see through here. Probably not, but if you could get the right angle, there is the cat pump is back there. And what it's got is a little dot in the front. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it, but this bubble that is right down here, where are you in the video screen? It's in the front panel there. There is a little spot there. If I could just get my fingers to behave itself. Back and forth. Anyway, there's a little spot in the front of that panel. There we go. A bubble. And in the center of that bubble is a red dot. And that's what you want to do, is you want to get the oil level so that it would be in the red dot, and it would be right in the half level of the red dot through there, or on the other side. All right, with that front panel shut off there done, I'm now going to go and fill up my cat pump oil. And this is a 21 ounce container. Now, with a little sloppiness, and maybe you missed a little bit, and also remaining that can be inside this container, it's going to really take all of this bottle here. We're going for 20 ounces, but it's going to take the entire thing. And then again, I tried to show you where you would go to that center and find that red dot in the middle there of the front panel through the front here. Now, when I look inside there, and that little front there going to the back, you can't see it in this video, I apologize, but there is a spot, a red dot, that I can actually see. It is filled to the middle. Sometimes you can see on the sides of the pump, but there is a little bubble line in the front here, right there, and it is in the middle. I can see, unfortunately you can't. Now the next thing I'm going to do is start filling up my blowers, but I'm going to shut those valves off there too, the shutoffs, and I'm going to go in this newer one, the Numalube. So we'll get those going front and back. Now that's going to take 7 ounces also. If you heard earlier, if you got the older style Roots, you're going to take 16 ounces. These newer Tuthills are 7 ounces. And we're going to go so it hits the center line there. Before I take and I put this into my recycling container I intend to take, this is from the back of my blower. And this is the front. Now that black in there is actually belt dust I knocked off while cleaning while it was draining. But they're actually doing pretty good. You'll see a little bit of debris, a little bit of burniness on them. And again, this has got about 350-ish, 380 hours on it, 380 hours. So we're gonna just wanted to show you what that looks like a little bit. Sometimes I've seen them darker, but we try to change them so often that we don't hurt the blowers or the units. We get lots of miles and lots of hours. All right, we'll make sure we get our cat pump cover put back on and screwed on and secured. You don't have to over tighten this and crack it. There's a rubber gasket underneath it that is there under the bottom side. So you just snug it. Doesn't have to be incredibly human nuts crazy. Okay, now we're going to add this Phenolube in this newer Butler unit. And in this here container, I've actually measured out 7 ounces, 7.5 actually. So then I know what I'm kind of working with. And I'm going to just add it in here, and hopefully that yellow funnel doesn't take off on me while I'm doing this. You just got to take your time on it, allow it to go in. At the same time, there is a unit down here we're going to be looking for to see how the level is doing. But 7 ounces will get us there, and that's why I just pre-measure it into this container. I have extras. It just makes it so much easier. So I'm not always looking on the side, and trying to see, did I get enough in there, didn't I get enough in there? So basically I can dump that in there and pour. Now if you get to the point that you don't have enough in there, of course you add more. But if you added too much, you could just take that cap off there again. And I did take the liberty to put the purple end caps on just in case something were to happen, like I was silly and forgot to shut off the petcocks or something. Hard to see in here, but there you'll see a little bubble line above there, and I've actually hit the sweet spot, and I'm on a level ground here in the shop, so I've really hit it well. Now when that is running, that oil level, when it's running on there, if I can get my finger so it sees, can go down a little bit. So it could drop a little bit while it's running. That's normal. That's also in your Butler handbook. So now I'm going to also do that to the front, add 7 ounces to the front, look for the sight on the front and go from there. So we'll just do that. All right, I just finished up adding to the front blower oil here too on the very front of the Butler unit. And I've seen that on my sight glasses up in the front here. You can't see as well here. There it is way back in there, but you can't see as well here. The next thing to do is you want to make sure you put these caps back on the top of each one of these vent stacks. So we'll do that and just secure it. Again, you don't have to go crazy ape wild on them and break them and bust them. So get rid of that a second. Do the same here. And pretty much now we have got it complete. We're going to run it and check it. We're going to vacuum out underneath the cowling, clean up a bunch of belt dust and stuff. Right now, that is what we have here for the newer Butler unit. We're front and back for the fills and the drains. And we've got our cat water pump. That's all refilled too. So now we've got fresh, ready to go. The next thing they want to do, and I took the liberty on this. This is what I do, old racing habit. Back when I was racing snowmobiles and stuff, when we'd have different clutching and different jetting, we'd mark underneath the hoods on like the belts and stuff, belt deflectors and protectors, with a piece of masking tape or duct tape and put on it what we had for jets, etc. For here, what I do is, this is when I've changed the oil today, the cat and blower oil, at 1969 hours, and it's going to be due again at least minimum by 2469 hours to change. That's another 500 hours. So it's a nice thing we can do that. And I've done that under both lids. So I'm going to just go to the other one just to secure that. All right, we're back to our older Butler, and this is the Amali non-detergent 40 weight we're using in here. And I've already added it in there, again, 7 ounces. I've added it down so I can see in the oil indicator it's at the halfway point where that purple line and the air above it. This one here had the front grease zerks. Those are greased and ready. We're going to clean up all of this underneath the hood. I still have to finish with the cat water pump here, making sure that is filled back up. And that, ladies and gentlemen, then again, change your hours and everything over here underneath the hood so we know what each one of these is doing. If you have any questions on how to do this, please give me a holler, and you can get a hold of me at saigers.com. You'll find our contact information, or of course, look in your Butler manual if you have one. If you don't, contact Butler. They can get you one, or we can also try to help you out what we know from just running these for so many years. So This has been a great machine for us. Just want to make sure it works great for you by just some of the service things, and I've had a lot of questions on how to change these blower oils and cat pump oils, so here we finally got a chance to do it. You have a great one. Thanks for taking the time to watch this lengthy video.